Oh my gosh. Hi. I hope somebody's out there. Does anybody else kind of feel that way right now? I feel like the silo living is kind of playing with my head on how much we're actually interacting with each other. Maybe you're feeling the same. If you are here, whether you're live or replay, love for you to use the comment feature and let me know below that you're here. I love the reach outs. I love that we're trying together to be better humanity. I'm Suzanne Castle, and I want to talk to you about something that's really popping up for me, and in some pretty unhealthy ways. So I took some time to start reading again about monotasking. So I don't know how many of you feel overwhelmed, how many of you are doing way too many things. I know that I've been reading a lot of posts about if we're not creating the next great whatever, then we're wasting our time. And then we've got the other side of this mess where people are saying, I'm getting all this rest and I'm spending all this great time with my family and yada, 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 and great, great, great. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I worked 94 hours last week, just trying to do all the things in a new and different way and keep everyone connected and reach out. And more people are online now. So they're sending messages and text messages. And I don't know about you, but I'm feeling done, like just done with the frantic pace. So I went back to read about monotasking. Do you know what monotasking is? So monotasking is this single tasking method. So it's the practice of dedicating oneself to a given task and minimizing any potential interruption until the task is completed or until a significant period of time has elapsed that you decide. So monotasking, as you imagine, contrasts completely differently than multitasking, which is the ability to, divide one's focus among multiple tasks. Now, maybe you are, besides seeing the wonderful light come in from my window, maybe you're one of those that wears the badge of honor of multitasking. Raise your hand if that's you. It's okay. We're all in recovery together. But you see, according to medical doctors, especially Brian Atabay, monotasking is the key to actually brain health and survival, which I would take soul health, cell health. It's all tied together. And monotasking is important because it's kind of this deep mindset that causes you to re-examine your relationship to time. And if there's anything that we need to be doing in the pandemic, I feel like it is reevaluating our relationship to time. Time is our most precious and fundamental asset that we have, and I think many of us are abusing that asset. This Dr. Brian Atabay also says that at the end of our lives, no one will remember how quickly we responded to emails. No one on their deathbed asks for more time to sit through another budget meeting or a Zoom meeting. Instead, we look for more time at the end of our days to do and experience the things that give us meaning and a sense of purpose. Well, that's the core of monotasking. It is literally about rethinking the way that we work and that we engage with our loved ones so that we can improve and more meaningfully engage with our environment. And I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty freaking fantastic to me. So here's what happens when you multitask. When you multitask, you're actually not doing multiple things at once. Like that is the lie that multitasking sells to you. Instead, what happens is your brain is rapidly shifting attention sequentially between each of the activities that you're attempting. Is this making sense? So while you think that you can text someone while you're listening to a podcast and thinking about dinner's in the oven, and maybe over to the side, you're writing your to-do list. Actually, what's happening is your brain is like 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. Your brain rapidly shifts attention sequentially between each of these activities that you're attempting. In the brain world, that's called task switching. It's literally the death of productivity. So although each of these episodes occurs within a fraction of a second sometimes, research continues to show us that these episodes, these task switching episodes, will decrease your productivity by up to 40%. So you think you're doing well when you're multitasking, but actually your productivity is actually going down up to 40%. Think about that for a minute. Task switching occurs even in the simple mundane activities like checking your text messages, email notifications, or even when a colleague stops by your desk to chat. You see, anything that diverts your attention and it causes a task switching episode in your brain. Now, I get it. None of us can control all the outside stimuli. And in some cases, you literally have to task switch. Like I'm thinking about cooking and talking to your child at the same time. Like you have to do that. And that's why it's even more important to develop a monotasking mindset in areas of your life that you can control, like work and self-care. And that's what we're going to dive into briefly today. Let's face it, with the world and the state that it's in, many of us find ourselves booked in technology rooms for work. We're helping our kids get homeschooled with new technology. We're figuring out ways to order needed items via delivery, and we're still trying to show up as our best self. And many of us, like me, are screened out. Like I have hit my wall. And there's this kind of deep sense of fatigue that's wearing on us. It's making our bones feel old. It's making our minds really mushy. So let's take a moment and get some tips on how to keep our brain in better health and our mindset in tip-top shape and still be the productive badasses we are. Does that sound good to you guys? Yeah, thumbs up. Okay, let's dive in. So the first part of monotasking that's important is deep work. So in order to monotask, you will need to increase your capacity for deep work. What is deep work? Well, deep work is the ability to focus on a demanding task. So one that requires a higher level of cognitive ability, maybe a different level of awareness without distractions for an extended period of time. Now, you're probably saying, wait, Suzanne, nope, sorry. What you just outlined is I can't do because I have a circus-like existence. Now you're telling me not to have distractions for an extended period of time. I have a 4-year-old here. I've got a teenager upstairs. I've got yard people outside. Amazon's knocking on my door. Like, really? Yes, really, I am telling you deep work is important. I get it. It's not popular. You probably don't want to do it. But here's the thing. Most people only skim the surface when it comes to concentration and engagement. And that's what we're talking about here. You end up working in short bursts of 15 and 20 minutes at a time. Anybody feeling that? Yeah? Instead, we have to retrain our brains. Each day, attempt to set aside 1 to 3 hours, 2 to 4 hours, where you can focus on a single, notice I said single project without interruption. And interruption means no phones, no email, no conversations, no social media. And yeah, I get it. You might get interrupted by a toddler needing to go potty. Okay. But as much as you can, see if you can't construct your schedule differently. So could you start with 30 minutes? Could you start with 45 minutes? Maybe super early in the AM before your household gets up, or maybe during nap time. Maybe late at night, your household is sleeping. See how creative you can be in your schedule for some deep work. The second thing is to locate your peak performance time. Everyone has a specific period of the day when you're at your best. This is when you're the sharpest, when you're the least distracted, and when you're most likely to have breakthrough moments. And that is the period of time when monotasking will be the easiest for you. So think about that. Study yourself. This is a good self-awareness exercise. If you do not have awareness of when your peak performance time is, stop now and go figure that out. Because if you don't know that, you run the risk of commuting during that time after the pandemic has passed. You run the risk of sleeping through that time, or conversely, attempting to do all these higher level thinking things when you're tired, when you're disengaged, when you're in your least creative state, because that's when you've set aside your time for deep work. But once you are able to identify your peak performance time of the day, set aside that time and protect it to do your deep work. Seriously, you must guard this time period. It is your holy and sacred moment for you to do your best work. Third thing about multitasking. To eliminate distractions down and focusing on two very important questions. You see, monotasking, people get confused. It's really less about focusing on one goal, and it's more about eliminating distractions that prevent you from accomplishing the one goal. Sometimes the worst distraction maybe is your own well-intentioned desire to be productive. Can I get a whoop whoop in the comments if this is you? Because Lordy, it's me. Doing all the things all the time is a productivity killer. But I have to keep relearning this valuable lesson, and maybe you do too. You could start the day with 10 items on your to-do list and hope to accomplish them all. Maybe you have 20 or 50. And if you don't get to all of them, those little brain creeps start, right? So you start to maybe self-judge. You feel unproductive. You try to figure out where you wasted time. And then those things didn't fall off your list and they show back up tomorrow. And then you repeat the cycle over and over again. So instead, maybe try this. Start your day by asking yourself just 2 questions. First, what could I do today that will bring me a sense of meaning and purpose? What could I do today that will bring me a sense of meaning and purpose? This is all about fulfillment and well-being. Sometimes it's getting something off your plate at work. Sometimes it's doing something else, okay? The second question to ask yourself is, what are the 2 most important things I can do today that would have the greatest impact? This is about the things that actually matter, not just on the surface. So the first question is, what could I do today to bring me a sense of meaning and purpose? And the second question is, what are the 2 most important things I can do that would have the greatest impact? Now we're going to come back to this, what I call the do one thing, in just a moment, so stay tuned. But I want you to go with me for a moment and imagine a skyscraper, okay? Modern skyscrapers are often built using that kind of core structural tube that's surrounded on the periphery by support beams. And you can use this kind of same durable, resilient concept to structure your days. So I want you to think of your day like a skyscraper. Here's what I mean. At the core, the bottom of your day, are your 2 most important tasks from the second question that I just asked, right? Those 2 questions. Surrounded on the outside are the necessary but, lower yield tasks that you must do. So things like responding to emails, making phone calls, errands, paperwork, okay? So what you need to do is to attempt to schedule your deep work in the 2 to 4 hour blocks that anchor your skyscraper. This anchors your day. And then you gather the other peripheral activities into little batches that you can knock out together. So I get that this is a goal. It's going to take practice, but you can do this. So let me give you an example of this. Instead of responding to all emails as they come in, you might set predetermined hours like 8 a.m., noon, and 5 p.m. All email servers have this capacity. You can do that in your mail preferences. You could also use a similar system for making phone calls. I do that at 8, noon, and 5, or whatever works for you. Maybe the same thing for text messages. Turn off your notifications and schedule in your calendar. When it pops up, it says check text messages. That's when you do that. Or even checking and posting on social media. Now with our phones, a lot of the different phone companies will tell you how much screen time you've had. I know right now it's not a good judge because we all need the distraction, but be thinking about the patterns that you have. Because when you aggregate activities like this, you knock them out all together, you will save time. You will reduce the need to multitask with them as you work. And most importantly, it will enable you to focus on each message or call with your undivided attention, and that is monotasking. Now, I know way too many people who check their phones or emails while on a call, and that's just rude. Don't be rude. So speaking of that, let's talk about attention residue. And that means you are still thinking about one task while you have physically moved on to the next task. It's a harmful consequence of multitasking. Too often, you're still mentally engaged with the work or the phone call that you should then to be spending time with your kids and family. And so you see, monotasking just doesn't apply to work. It literally applies to the entire way that you live your life. So instead, try to create and schedule negative time. So negative time is set aside to do absolutely nothing. In most cases, your schedule is bombarded from sunrise to sunset. It doesn't leave any empty room just for you, but you need that time. And I'm not saying to drink wine, which I'm a big believer in, but you need that time to give your brain a break. Neurologically, to have a healthy brain, it must have a break. Giving your brain a break will allow you to integrate. It allows you to problem solve. It connects the dots in the background on a much deeper level. So it's important to start by planning 1 hour per day where you can rest. You can empty your mind. You can engage in activity that reduces your stress. You could walk, could read a book, meditate, go out, be in nature, go garden. Okay, so regardless of the activity, the important thing is to be present and meaningfully engage with your restful environment and set those email boundaries, right? You've heard me say that several times today. Put in a signature line when you can be expected to be contacted and hold your own line. If you have to sit down, I'm the worst at this. I sit down late at night and I've got to send the email. That's okay. Start the draft, but don't send it. Send it during your actual hours because it's going to be important that you set your own boundaries and live by them, unless, of course, you're in a crucial time-sensitive project. Which brings me to the do one thing that I've been implementing in my own life and with my clients. Each day when I'm working on my schedule, and I do this very first thing in the morning, I make sure that I have the following covered. So self-care. Am I doing something for my own self today? So this could be reading or a bubble bath or maybe feeding the birds. Whatever it is, you must bring your breathing under control and give your brain a needed break. And yeah, Lori, that means get off the social media, right? Self-care. Am I doing something for my own self today? That's the one thing. Another do one thing is for my work. So am I doing something that brings goodness to my life, like finishing a project, taking care of something on deadline, etc.? That goes on my list. Am I doing one thing for my loved ones, for my family? Am I creating time to spend with my family? Just being family. Or I'm FaceTiming with a friend. I'm doing something with another loved one without distractions. Game night, heading to a park if it's still open, cooking dinner together, doing something, be creative. Right now, I'm doing a lot of virtual happy hours with people and it's bringing me a lot of joy. And I turn off all the social media, all the emails, everything, and I am present in that moment. Another do one thing is on your goals. You have to work on your goals in a consistent fashion. So every day I'm committed to working towards the goal that I have set in that moment. Okay? Do something on your goals. Then I also do one thing for my home environment. So if you're in the mode of only cleaning 1 day a week, that's fine. That might bring you joy and that might give you some settledness to your soul. But I'm in the mode of doing something in a cleaning or a kind of sacred sanctuary way every single day in my house. So it could be I'm going to tackle a load of laundry on Monday. On Tuesday, I'm going to dust the living room. On Wednesday, I'm going to hang up all the clothes in my closet, whatever it is. So maybe you think about, I do one thing for your home environment every single day. And then finally, I would ask you, are you challenging yourself? Are you challenging yourself daily? In other words, are you learning something new, developing a skill, being creative in a new way? Maybe right now you're going to take on monotasking, right? Do that every day. Challenge yourself every day. So friends, there you have it. Now, I want you just to stop. Just stop. I want you to have a monotask plan. Okay? I want you to try it out for a couple of weeks. See if you aren't more productive, if you're feeling better. And hey, there's always loads of training on things like this on my Facebook page, Suzanne Castle Consulting, and in my training group, The Brilliant Collab. Just comment and I'll be sure to send you an invite to that lab group and you can jump in. But until then, stay focused. Remember, it's the best for your brain and your sanity. I'm Suzanne Castle. I'm creator of the Collaborative Leadership and Brilliant Team Structure. I'm glad you joined me. Have a wonderful day.